Hey everyone and welcome. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at how we can engineer our prompts in order to facilitate our game development process. So first of all, when it comes to game development, one of the main things we are doing is coding and creating scripts and functions. Now, the AI is really great at doing this, okay? We can prompt the AI to create a script or a function for our engine of choice. And this can be a great sort of base point for if you are learning game development and you just want to have some code that you can play around with. So it is a great learning resource. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. So we might say, for example, generate a C# script for Unity that destroys the game object after a specified time. Okay, we are making sure to provide the language that we want the script to be generated in, so C#. We are saying this is a script for the Unity engine, and we are then giving it a description of what we want it to actually do, which is destroying a game object after a specified time. And as you can see, it will then basically generate that entire script as well as providing some information on how we can actually apply this script, how we can actually add it to a game object and run it. And yeah, as you can see, it pretty much works as it comes out. Another one we can do is, for example, saying write a script for Unity that will flicker a light like a candle. And as you can see, the script is a bit larger, but it has no problem with generating it right here. Now, when it comes to generating code inside of an AI prompt, I have noticed that when it comes to, for example, larger scripts with multiple different systems that interact, it does tend to sort of break apart at that point. With these two examples, it's pretty much just one system it's creating. But for example, if you wanted to create a character controller that can move around, that can jump, that can run, that can crouch, it's going to technically do all those things, but those systems might not interact with each other. For example, I found that if I asked it for a character controller that can move around and jump, it will move it around by directly modifying the transform, whereas jumping will be done with physics. And you can see how those sort of two systems sort of don't work well with each other. So I have found that, yeah, when it comes to scripts with one core system, it's great, but when it comes to scripts with multiple systems, that's where it tends to break apart. So do be aware of that when asking the AI to generate scripts for you. Although, as it continues to improve, these issues are most likely going to be improved as well. Now, as well as generating code, we can also use the AI to debug code. And this is great if you are new to coding, new to Unity, new to a game engine, and want to know why your code is not working. Just make sure, like with asking it to generate stuff, that you provide context on the language you're using, as well as any error messages you might be receiving. So we might go, okay, I'm having problems with this C# function, can you tell me what's wrong with it? And we can just copy and paste the code in right here, okay? In your editor, select the code, copy it, and paste it directly into the prompt here, okay? And the AI is going to be able to read through this and then provide you with some results. And as you can see here, the answer was the fact that the return type is incorrect. And it then gives us the updated code as well as a description as to what the issue is and how we can fix it. So it's very helpful when it comes to debugging code. And in this example here, we can basically give it an error that we are getting in Unity. So we can say, I'm getting a null reference exception error when trying to run this code. Why is that? And then we provide it with the code here. And it is then going to go through, just like before, and explain why this is happening. Now, when it comes to debugging code, for small issues like this, it is fine, but do be aware that if you have a much larger scale debugging issue that might be spread across multiple scripts, it's probably going to struggle as it can only really debug whatever code you give it. So you need to make sure that you're giving it enough context to the issue so that it can solve it, okay? For example, if you are having a line of code that is resulting in an error, just giving the AI that one single line of code, depending on the error, might not do anything, okay? It might have no idea why that error is occurring because something might be triggering it from another script or another function, or it might be something down the chain that is causing the error. So making sure that you provide it with the context, okay? The variables, all the functions that are sort of connected along the thread leading up to that error is important. Now, as well as code, we can also ask it game engine specific questions, okay? So if you are new to an engine, you can ask it stuff such as in Unity, where can I find the option to disable running in background? And it's going to give you a step-by-step instructions on how to do just that. The same thing, if you're on Unreal, you might go, how do I make my animation loop? And it's going to basically explain it as well. So you can see if you have, these small little things that you might normally ask on a forum or on a message board, you can instead ask the AI, and generally it's going to have a solution to those questions, okay? So definitely use this as a resource if you are learning an engine and you want to know how you can navigate to a certain window, how you can activate a certain feature. It's great at giving you information on that. And as well, AI is also quite good at the more conceptual aspects, such as game ideas, okay? Code is pretty much set in stone. It either works or it doesn't, whereas ideas are more malleable and something that we sort of imagine a human only being able to come up with, whereas of code, that's computers. But with the advent of these advanced AI models and their acceleration pretty much month over month, they are able to provide pretty good information on the more conceptual things such as ideas. So we might say, give me an idea for an easy to make 2D game with an interesting core mechanic and explain it in one paragraph. So it's going to look at that and it's basically going to provide us a game idea in one paragraph. And I did find that specifying one paragraph is a good thing because typically it will write many paragraphs, dot points. And if that's what you want, that's fine. But for me, we might be going through and we might just want a quick couple ideas, a quick couple ideas we can read through. So specifying that we want it in a paragraph will definitely shorten down that response. And we could then also ask it maybe for a unique mechanic I can add to my FPS game in order to make it more fun and interesting. So as well as asking for brand new ideas, we could ask it for ideas to add on to an existing game, which it will then provide as well. And if you are looking to go deep into a game idea, you can ask it to generate a game idea. We can maybe provide it some context, such as it should be 2D, have an interesting mechanic, and be fairly easy to create for a game developer with only 1 year's experience, okay? Because generally the ideas it will give you can range in scope and complexity. So you can provide a context such as I'm a solo game developer with only 1 year's experience, and it's generally going to constrict the scope based on that. Whereas if you were to say I'm a developer running a team of 200, it's probably going to provide a much larger scope. Now, in the next lesson, we will continue to look at how we can use prompts in order to help us on our game development journey by looking at game design documents and product pages. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all then.